free. Baby, keeping it real, cause we got what it takes for sure. There's no turning back anymore. Can you see it's all a game? Life goes on all the same. If at first you don't succeed, all you've got is all you need. If you believe, then stake your claim.
Hello, Rise and Thrivers. Welcome to Monday night, March 9th. We are here for another Rise and Thrive Together episode. And in case you're new or you need a reminder, this is who we are. We are Rise and Thrive Together, a vibrant community committed to educate and empower and equip you to get the results that you want through real talk and taking real actions. Welcome. I'm jumping right in here, sis. How are you? Welcome to our second week of March, since there are 5 this month, and our 150th episode.
Wow,
I know,
that's insane.
right? It really
Insane.
is. I mean, it's like crazy.
I know.
But good to see you. I love the hair. I love the braids.
Thank you. We had nice weather today, so I'm happy about that. So it's good to see you and be able to share nice weather stories.
Right? Yes, absolutely. Good to finally, hopefully, have spring. Just in case anybody forgot, we have moved the clocks ahead.
Well, if you don't know that by now, you clearly were late for work this morning.
And you
Late
might
for
be like,
everything.
why? It's only 7 o'clock, but it's really 8 o'clock. The show is now.
I know. So what do we have on tap for tonight? What are we
Well, I'm
talking
stoked.
about?
Yeah, so we're going to continue our amazing theme. Just in case people need this amazing reminder. I love it. Our March topic is becoming requires boundaries. Not everyone deserves access to your growth. And I am loving that. And for the 150th episode, I did a really great post. I tagged you in. Raquel and I work tandem together, but we've got big lives and we're up to big things. So for Women's Day, International Women's Day, which was on Sunday, I did a post that was about painting your own palette, that you get to create your life. You get to create the words they are. You get to create all of that, and you get to change that story. So I thought I'm going to continue that theme inside of boundaries, painting peace with boundaries. And so continuing in that becoming, right, using these boundaries, what does painting peace with boundaries really mean? And I just thought one of the first things of painting peace for me with boundaries is what we talked about is that big no. That no is a response. No to things. And the weekend was the perfect example, still kind of mending and healing and getting the ear going. There was lots of opportunities on Sunday to get together with people and, of course, things that I love to do. And I just had a full weekend, the success of my daughter's play and my brother-in-law, my sister-in-law, my in-laws coming into town, and we had a full weekend, except for Sunday. And Sunday was it. Sunday was that opportunity where there it was. I could go anywhere and do anything, and I could hear that voice. And I had to create my boundaries. And my boundaries of peace is dealing with my health right now. And there's no peace in my health when I have tinnitus ringing in my ears and I'm not sleeping well. So I stuck to my beautiful topic that you have brought up, and I put in the boundaries, the becoming of the woman I know myself to be, healthy and vibrant and energetic, because I had a lot starting this week, and I said no. And that brought a lot of peace. It took a little bit of time, not too long, but saying no and just saying no for saying no. I choose me. I choose to be with the family. I choose to relax, and even work that out with my daughter and my husband. It was a really beautiful healing day. So today, I even said no to clients that I usually see and chose to go to my doctor's appointment because I really was going to change my doctor's appointment. I was going to do it. I was like, no, I have these clients, but no, my health has to come first. How can I even spread the message about empowerment and educating and equipping people about their health when I am not taking care of myself, when I am not doing what I preach? So I'm not practicing what I preach. So that's what I wanted to share. And that's what I figured would be fun to talk about and see what the audience might think of that as well as you. And just in case you don't realize, Raquel, you're in a black box.
No, I didn't realize. I can see me on
Yeah.
my end. But
You're in a black box.
the what's interesting is, and I don't know about the audience, but can you explain a little further about painting your piece within boundaries?
Yeah. So if I'm going to create this, painting of me, right? The becoming of me, I'm feeling right now, if those of who you guys are looking at me, I feel refreshed. I feel energized, vitalized while I'm still managing some health issues from the way my makeup is, the way my hair is, my makeup is on, my hair, the clothes I'm wearing. It all came out of that palette that I'm like, what I'm visualizing, who I'm becoming. And that woman who I know is healthy and vibrant, who enjoys putting on makeup, who enjoys putting on colors that make me feel good inside, that represent my energy. And so that's really what I visualized. And rather than just being my automatic of, oh, there's something fun to do. Oh, I'm a mom. Oh, this is a great time to connect with people. Oh, my daughter, got to do this. Oh, we got to do that. It was not peaceful. That painting was
Mm-hmm.
chaotic. If I could paint it in front of you all, it was like a line here, a line there, a splash here, a splash there. So for many of you, that might be beautiful, but for my expression of who I am, that is just thrown everywhere, just thrown on there with no thought. And so it was take a breath and pause and reminding myself, like, hey, you're not your 100%. Yes, you have commitments, and your commitment has to start with you. So, what does that palette look like? And I really do enjoy, you know, certain ways I do my hair differently, ways that I enjoy to do my makeup, colors that I wear, and so that's what the whole visual palette looked like for me, as well as what does that look like behind the scenes without the makeup, which is putting my feet up and having my favorite water, with my oil lemon and orange in it, and having just a really relaxing show that I've been wanting to see. And then being able to say, hey, I want to take a nap and find that spot in the house and ask my family, this is nap time. Can you guys do something quiet? So there's all of these different paintings, but I get to visualize them and I get to paint them. And how I paint them is by using my words. And the word was no.
Okay. I got that. So it sounds like when you talk about painting peace, it was an intentional choice that you made.
Yes, 100%. Because the non intentional is me saying yes and doing everything.
Okay. So peace is not something that's accidental. You don't stumble upon peace. Peace is something that you have to create. And so if that's one of the boundaries that someone wants to set, not to have someone upset their peace, then you have to actively create it. And you started with the number one way to create something is by creating peace, is by saying no,
Yes.
especially when something or someone violates the values that you hold near and dear, which
Hmm.
is to value yourself, to value your health. Also, you create by protecting your emotional space. We do that. Or it'll be great if we did it more often. But I want to know from the audience, what does that look like for you as individuals to create that emotional space? Does that
Well,
mean you're saying to someone, hey, who wants to talk to you, hey, not right now. I just need a moment. And maybe not explaining why you need the moment. Now, they may ask, well, why do you need a moment? But adults who understand the term, I need a moment, won't keep pressing. They'll just say, okay, and turn around and walk away or go away, whatever that is. But we have to learn how to protect our emotional space because we're
Mm.
not always in the mood to talk. We're not always in the mood to entertain. Now, my question is, I have another question. I got questions.
Well, let me just hold on for a second because we should get that question because Ellen jumped in and said, she really likes the conversation that we're having. That sometimes we need to say no to ourselves,
Mm,
not only to others, right? Because
yeah,
she picked up on that saying, I have to say no to me,
right.
And then she's like, and then she's saying no is actually saying yes to yourself.
Yeah. So all the kids listening, no and yes, same thing. Not really. No, it's not.
But
You're
it's
saying no.
it's funny you said that because before we get on to the next part, but my parents used to say that often, and I don't know because they're not around anymore for me to ask. But when you say, my mom would be like, "Yes means no, and no means yes," and I'd be like, "What?" Like
Yeah, now I'm
it's the same
totally
thing.
confused, Mom. Thanks.
But I get it. I get it that as Ellen was picking up on our conversation. So thanks, Ellen. Saying that saying no is actually saying yes to yourself, saying no to the things that are not creating peace, right? That isn't having that, but the woman I'm becoming, a more peaceful, intentional, I love that word, sis, the, intentional woman that, takes on her actions with attention so that the results really can be impactful, not half-assed, not like, you know, did a little bit, still more to come.
Hmm.
So I really love that.
Now, here's another just play on words for thought. What about the fact that boundaries are not walls, but they're filters?
Ooh, talk more about that, please. I like that.
So it's not a wall that you put up, but it's space where you protect who you are. And boundaries are not there to shut people out, right? They're there to help you decide who and what gets access to
Yes.
continue with your theme of painting, who gets access to your canvas. So it's
Mm,
not a wall, it's a filter. I'm filtering out the people who either don't respect my boundaries, don't understand boundaries, and people who just interrupt my space. So you're filtering them out by setting these boundaries instead of thinking of boundaries as something to keep people out. It's not that, but again, it's a space where you are protecting your well being.
I love that. And I have a question back to you and, audience chime in. Ellen, look, Ellen's on the jam today. We should just bring her on camera. Ellen writes in, we are allowed to be discerning and we are allowed to be discerning and respecting our feelings. And Susan adds to that boundaries are spaces where you make choices.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Love it.
yeah, yeah. I like that because, and why I like that is because the word choices, and
Yeah.
there are far too many people that believe they don't have a choice,
Mm, yeah.
that the world and life is just happening to them. And we've talked about this several times. It's not, and it's not easy to tell someone, hey, life isn't happening to you, it's happening for
For
you.
you.
When that person is in the midst of a financial disaster, in danger of losing, having a home insecurity. They
Yeah.
may be having food insecurity, because if it was me, my question would be, well, how is life happening for me when I'm in danger of losing the things that every single human being needs? We need the shelter, we need the food, we need security. How is that happening for me? So we've got some folks in the audience who are chiming in. Chime in on that one. I want to know, how do you help someone put up these boundaries and help them understand that No is a yes. When I say no to someone, I'm saying yes to me, making space for me to do something in my life, to create whatever I want to put on my canvas when life is crumbling all around me.
You know, the first thing that came to mind for myself as people are going to take a moment, and that's, a lot to take in, is why you were talking and I was listening, and even what everybody is writing in. We're not taught boundaries. Like, we're taught boundaries, and we've talked about this, right? That the way we react, respond, is really part of our whole entire makeup of our environment that we grew up in. And so, we've had this show because you and I are very committed to personal growth and development and really digging deep into, uh, these types of conversations from things we have learned and continue to learn and are learning. I feel that that's a big piece, and I'd love for everybody else to chime in because we've got people of all ages. Boundaries really aren't taught. They're given to us. Like, I'm going to just use for the example of school. School makes the rules, schools make the boundaries because it's out there for, your safety. Um, but like, we're not taught about our own self-worth. Ellen's saying self-worth is paramount. And we're not taught this whole idea of boundaries, like you're saying, for self-worth, for self-care, for self-preservation, for pick your words. So I think it's a really interesting conversation because the way for me boundaries are showing up more and more for myself is the way that I'm communicating to other people. I think, and people chime in that, people just do what they do, right? They just do what they do. And if you're not sharing with them the way, like, if you're always available, always available, then people are going to be used to you being always available. And the minute that you're not available can come across as an issue. So there is our own personal responsibility about our boundary making so that
Mhm.
people really get our needs, and it's a given at an exchange. You and I talk often and we share what we want, but many people are not taught how to go about to do that.
Not taught to do.
To have those conversations like, this is what I
Mhm.
need. It's just like, it's a reaction all the time. It's in relationships, if it's at work, if it's with, your significant other, if it's with a friend. It's just this automatic, like, I'm saying something, you're saying something, I'm just going to call you. Why didn't you, why are you not talking to me? Like, it's always just this assumption, right? It's just an
Mm.
assumption. We're not really taught. And that's, and I'm really speaking honestly because I'm really looking at these boundaries of when I do something to take care of me, it sometimes upsets others. And I'm looking at my responsibility for that, not like they did anything wrong or I did anything wrong, but like how I need to shift. Like, this is me then, and now
Mhm.
this is what's now, and this is now. And people are going to be upset because they're just used to me the way that they're used to me.
Right.
And that's okay. That's okay. That's just something that's part of life and growing, right? That's just part of life and growing. But there is some little pain to it at times because they're just acting, or I'm just acting what I'm just used to doing. I'm just used to be like, Raquel's the one I can always depend on. Raquel's the one I can always talk to. Raquel's, I'm always calling her, and now all of a sudden, if you say, hey, Reg, like, not today,
Mhm.
we can talk tomorrow, or, hey, no, I don't have the space for that. And if you're not taught like what that really means, people take it like the way they take it, right?
Mhm.
So it's an interesting, I feel like it would be so great if it was taught earlier, you know.
How would you teach boundaries though?
That's a
I
good one.
mean, just talk as we're talking it through. I'm like, how do we teach someone? And we're talking about, let's say, children. Let's take kids because we're teaching them. How do we teach them to set boundaries?
Well, I'm going to give you some of the stuff like people haven't wrote that right now.
Okay.
But I will, and people, this is Raquel. Raquel and I could spend hours talking about this. So she wants you to come up with, if it's there for you. Lori writes, like, the way anyone responds, I feel, also comes from a fight or flight, you know, um, reaction, which has a lot to do with who we are and what we have been through and what we've been taught. So as for boundaries, I feel the similar to fight or flight. Boundaries are very important though for our mental health.
Mm.
That's great, Lori. Like that's what I was talking about. It's like the way we're wired is the way whatever we've, been through in our lives. It's a fight or flight kind of thing. Susan writes, life happens whether you're ready or not. I think it's another kind of choice to say life is happening for me. It's your mindset, not an out there, like it's a truth, like gravity. Like gravity's real, right? But she's saying it's more of a mindset. So it's something to, sit there and say that it's a choice and it's something to grow. Not everybody has that mindset. And it's a learning pattern. It's a learning pattern inside of the type of work that I've learned for a long time. But it's not like it's out there, like it's true. It's something, it's a choice and a mindset to really grow into. And that's not always easy and comfortable. And then Ellen leaves us with, if people always expect you to do, expect you to do, and if you're presented yourself as selfless, then it will be a difficult shift. But those that get to know you and respect you, they will love you and your new you. So
That's
those
nice.
Yeah, so those are all of the insights as we were speaking on everything. Um, and then Lori ends with, our experiences in the beginning is what molds us, unfortunately. And then there's the way to unmold it, which is, I think, is the what you were talking about, the learning and the growing. And
And the
there
teaching
and the
and the
teaching, right.
teaching. How do you
Yes,
teach
exactly.
someone to set boundaries? And we're talking about kids. That's where we left off. You're
Yeah.
talking to kids and you're trying to teach your kid boundaries. How do you do that?
It's a definite conversation. I would love it more. I mean, we have it in our household. A perfect example tonight. Things of boundaries have changed, so it's a constant conversation. Lexi has a note on her door. She's growing up into that age where, in when she was a little girl, I just walk into her room. Now she's 2 or 3 years old, right? 4 or 5 years old. Somewhere around, I want to say she's gonna be 10. So somewhere around 7, she we went upstairs and she had a note on her door. Please knock before entering.
Hmm.
Right? And that was so cool. Like at first we chuckled, Josh and I, and then she has like funny little things, which is her humor underneath it. Unless you want to give me $50 and like stuff like that. And there
Hmm.
she's adding fun stuff like that. But we had a conversation. And she's like, I'm older now. And you have you have your door shut and you've asked to, you know, knock. I want that same respect. And that's a boundary that we had. And we took that for granted, right? Because, like Lori said, it's just the experiences that mold us. So
Hmm.
she got used to that. And now boundaries shifted again with school because there's a huge test coming up for the state of Florida. For anybody in third grade, they have a huge test coming up. And you have to pass this test to get into fourth grade. Doesn't matter, different than when we all went to school. This is like, no matter how you're doing, if you don't pass this test, you're not getting into fourth grade. So things have been shifted and it was a conversation. So it's not like a throw at you kind of thing. It's a conversation of what's changing, what are some of the things that are happening at school, what are the things that matter to her and what values to her, and how can we create where she's got her boundaries and she's able to have her peace and do the things she wants, and also there are things that need to be done because she knows school's important and she knows this test is important, and she enjoys school, she really loves it, she wants to go into fourth grade and she wants to continue in the advanced program.
So here's what I'm hearing. I heard two things from you. One is you guys showed her boundaries. That's
Yep.
one way of teaching someone, is to show them, because you asked her to knock and she picked that up from you guys.
Yes.
Great. Direct contact, direct hit. The other thing I'm hearing is she's approaching that time where you put her on an island and bring her back when she's 25. Because according to folks, your brain is fully developed when you are 25. That's what I'm hearing.
Yes.
So I got those two very important things, but that's one way of teaching someone about boundaries, is seeing.
Yes. And that's what Susan just wrote. She said, you took it for granted because you learned how to communicate as adults about boundaries. Your children look and learn and listen from you and your
Mhm.
behavior and how you communicate about boundaries.
Yeah.
And so it's a really, it's, this is not a black and white conversation, people. Everybody who watches that knows that. And it is always ever growing and learning and failing forward. Because again, like you said, it's all of those things that we've learned that we catch ourselves, that we fail backwards into and have to catch ourselves. And that's why I say it's why I love this show and why I love other podcasts and events and conversations that I'm in, is to always have me remember and bring back awareness is, yeah, that not just her, but like you said, yes, for kids, but every adult. I don't care how old you are. You can meet somebody, and when they're with you and you're acting a certain way, I've heard lots of compliments and also some great constructive criticism, because we're always looking, like you said, we're always looking and watching and learning from what we have, like Lori said, learned from previous and the way we grew up and whatever is present that you were saying and intentional right now. So it's and there's great schools out there, and our guests have had can have great conversations about how we can implement that. But it does start at home, and if you're not in a great home environment, that means boundaries are not always uh, clearly taught the way that is for you becoming the best version of you.
Interesting. I had a thought run through my head about boundaries and how important they are and why we set them. I'm curious as to why, hearing about why from some people. Why do you set boundaries? Because if I'm a kid and you're trying to teach me boundaries, I want to know why. Why do I have to have them? That sounds like putting me in a box. Why do I have to have boundaries? I'm
Well,
in
that's
that
a
state where I want to have that conversation like the kids do tonight. Why
all
do I have
right.
to have them?
So
What's the
anybody
purpose?
can answer that question. Raquel and I can go back and forth around this, but all of our listeners who's been so generous to give us our wonderful responses. The question is, why? Why is it so important to set boundaries? We've given you examples. I've given you an example of, for me, of who I'm becoming, a peaceful, more productive, more connected, loving, engaging with myself and with others. But I got one, Raquel.
Okay.
Susan writes, ready? Let's see. Guess I'm having problems with my computer. I remember seeing posts about not forcing little ones to kiss all their relatives or forcing them to be hugged when they
Mm,
don't want to.
mm,
I was never taught that I could say no.
mm.
Powerful, Susan. And Lori writes in, it's important to set boundaries so there is an equal respect for one another.
Mm. I like that, Lori. So now let me challenge you a little more. And if there's this, so that we get this respect for one another, then why do people cross those boundaries? Especially when we set them and they are aware, we've made them aware. I don't like when you, I know we should be using the I statements, but I don't
Yeah.
like it when you do X, Y, and Z. Then why does that person turn around now, and the same boundary that I just set, or say, don't do this to me, and that person turns around, they do it exactly what I said not to? What's that about? What do we do?
That's a loaded question. Like for me, that comes across as like, you know, and have a quick answer, which we don't.
Mm-hmm.
But Lori will say because they feel that they can get away with it, or
Mm.
because we have never spoken about that before, that we've never spoken about it, that it bothers us. So it's something new. And then
Mm.
we have this expectation of like, boom, you know, you now say it and you expect them to automatically understand it and do it. And Ellen then says, we need to teach our children and ourselves to respect our internal red flags, very similar to what Susan was saying. She was, you know, never really taught to say no.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't feel right, then don't do it.
Mm.
So this is some good, yummy stuff here.
I like it. I like it. I like it.
Dude, me too. It is a, you know, I love that, Lori. I'm really like, sorry, I'm skipping over everybody, but back to Lori, because I love that because this is one perception, right? Like if we had 100 people, everybody have their own thing. But that whole thing is that they can get away with it or because we never have spoken about it. That
Mm.
second part for me is, you know, if it's a new thing, it's a
Mm-hmm.
first time. And then and I'll speak for meaning me, you know, I can't expect Lexi to, and I'll use my daughter to respect that boundary when it is just a brand new boundary. And for all of us who continue to grow, and how many times do we continue to fail? And we mean it, that, and, you know, fail forward. It is an ever growing and learning. When you have a really amazing community, our Thrive Tribe here, you know, come to our Rise and Thrive Together community, private Facebook community, because that's an opportunity where we have, it takes time to build trust and really respect one another. It is a growing conversation. You and I can not get along, Raquel, but we know that we will work it out. You know, we've had a long standing history, you know. Rebecca's saying some people just don't understand how to communicate and immediately become defensive out of fear. So there's
Who,
another way.
who the person that we're telling the boundaries about becomes?
So when you were asking about like, you know, why don't they respect them? She was saying that because some people just don't understand how to communicate and immediately become defensive out of fear when you were asking the question earlier about why don't people respect our boundaries.
Mm. Okay. That's a whole other story that we can talk about, but I want to hit on that, just not now,
Yeah.
just not today.
So good. I mean, so much juice and so much more to, you know, again, we'll keep on letting you guys know. Please go to our Facebook community, Rise and Thrive Together community. Put this information in there, right? You know, everything does start. You're right, Ellen. Bottom line is, it has to start with us first. It has to start with us knowing ourselves first, being very clear about what matters to us, our values, our beliefs, and the boundaries, like Raquel was talking about. And then it's taking the time to share that with those, like I love Raquel, which has been my favorite part. Not everybody deserves. I'm going to go back to that beautiful, you know, graphic. Not everyone deserves access to our growth. And, you know, that for me has really stayed in this 2 weeks of, you know, if I have a really good relationship with someone and the boundaries are just being broken and broken, I have to come back to me. And sometimes it is a no, like, you know, that access of growth might have had its time.
Mm. Wow.
That's what
Definitely.
we view it.
This is so great. So many other thoughts were swirling and swirling, but they're gonna have to swirl next week, or I'm gonna have to write notes because I want to know, and I want you guys to prep for this for next week. So here's my question. You can either answer it in our private Facebook group or Facebook community, or you can save it for next week. But what makes our boundaries change, or do they?
Mm.
But that's a next week conversation. So until next time, stay grounded, stay curious, and keep choosing you. Take care.